Have you ever walked out of a meeting in China and thinking, I think we've got a deal? Everyone smiled, no one disagreed. They even said, yes, I think we can do it. So you stopped worrying, you started planning, and then nothing happened. No contract, no follow-up, no explanation, just silence. I used to think that happens because China communicates differently. I don't believe that anymore. I think something more dangerous happened. You became certain before you had enough evidence. I think that's where expensive China mistakes begin. Most people blame culture, or they say it's just China. I don't think that's the real problem. The real problem starts much earlier. It starts the moment a signal becomes a story. Someone says yes, our brain finished the sentence. Agreement, commitment, certainty. We think we are seeing the reality, but we are actually seeing our own interpretation of the reality. That changed the way I think about China. I stopped asking, what does China mean? Instead, I started asking, what story did I tell myself? A while ago, I came across a sentence by Peter Drucker. I read it and I read it again. He wrote, the most serious mistakes are not made because of wrong answers. They're made because of asking wrong questions. At first, I thought he was talking about management. The longer I worked with China or China-related international business, the more I realized he was describing something much bigger. We don't usually lose because we know too little. We lose because we become certain before we have enough evidence. Once that happens, we stop observing, we stop asking, we stop being curious. We've already decided what everything means. Looking back, I don't think I've ever made an expensive mistakes in China or any life-related mistakes because I knew too little. Every expensive mistake I remember start with one sentence. I'm pretty sure I know what's happening. After I started noticing this, I began seeing it everywhere. The people who are really good at working with China didn't rush to explain. They waited, they watched, they stayed curious, they kept asking, what else could this mean? That's when I finally understood something that I have misunderstood for years. There is a Chinese idea called liu bai. Most people translate it as leaving something blank, but I don't think that's the real important part. The important part is liu bai gives you permission not to decide too early. It reminds you sometimes uncertainty isn't weakness, sometimes it's protection. Protection before jumping to a conclusion or making a decision, before reality has finished revealing itself. Honestly, that's one of the most practical things China has ever taught me. Even though I am a Chinese, I was born and raised in China, and I'm still living in China right now. But the surprising stuff is I keep learning new stuff about China every day. So next time you are in a meeting in China or you're working a Chinese team or partner and someone says yes, don't decide too fast. Just pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? You might reach the same conclusion, or you might notice something that you would have completely missed. Maybe China has never been the hardest part. Maybe your own certainty was. Once you learn not to rush to your own judgments, you will make better decisions everywhere. I'll leave that thought with you. Actually, that's the reason why I built something called China Signal Snapshot. The difficult part is recognizing when you are making this mistake in your wrong situation. 正所谓当局者迷，旁观者清. Because when you are inside the conversation, everything feels obvious. That's the reason why we rarely question our own interpretation. So if you are making a China-related decision right now about the supplier, about the client, about the partner, or about the team members you are working with, don't trust only one interpretation. Get a second one. That's what China Signal Snapshot is for. Not to tell you what to do, but to help you see what you might not be seeing yet. Because sometimes one different interpretation changes everything.